really tighten up any form of legislation because there was no punishments for human trafficking in California.
Wow.
One of the taglines we would say is that there's a larger fee for having an exotic bird found when you're trafficking that over the border. There was for humans.
Okay, guys, got Sarah here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no water for you yet.
No,
Too early. You love that.
It's too early.
That caffeine, huh?
Yeah.
Are you coffee or matcha?
Both.
I had some matcha this morning.
Yeah.
I just started. I love matcha.
If you get a really good quality matcha, that can be your vitamin C for the day.
Oh, there's vitamin C in it?
Yeah.
Wow. I actually didn't know that. I just love the taste of it. Because some coffee doesn't taste good.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to think of it as also being hydrating. So it's a 2-for-1, you know, it's giving you that stimulation, but in a more grounded way, definitely a healthier way.
Yeah. What's the main thing you've been teaching on lately?
Natural law.
Natural law.
Yeah, especially going into the Age of Aquarius, because going into the Age of Aquarius now, what we're seeing is a lot of different communion with the celestial. That is a theme that even started in Greek myth through the myth of Ganymede. Have you ever heard of Ganymede?
No.
So Zeus saw this water boy. Oh, no. Zeus made him a water boy. Zeus saw this child in a field who looked very healthy, looked very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, Zeus did what he always does. He abducted him. And he adores him in his Mount Olympus as his own water boy. And that is what we see as Aquarius. And that sets the stage for the age we're entering into, which is communion with the divine, communion with celestial forces of the as above. And so now what we see is all these different ways that storyline and that ethos can get played out of how do we make contact with our galactic family.
Yeah.
And that's because that's literally the theme now that we're moving into. We're moving more into a universal consciousness.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'm teaching how to do that in a very responsible, semi-grounded way. I don't know. Like when it's a free for all, I'm kind of the grounded one, which is hilarious because I'm not at all.
Yeah. There's a few people teaching how to get in contact with these ETs, right?
Yeah, so that's even deeper into the storyline. What a lot of the things that we see as ETs have been materialized esoteric knowledge. Materialized meaning that, is that true? Yeah, there's truths in it. But actually, it's been esoteric knowledge that has been distorted and distorted and distorted into something that now is tangible enough, human enough for us to wrap our materialistic mind around.
Dang.
When in reality, even things like Robert Monroe, who, do you know who Robert?
Yeah, Monroe Institute.
Yeah. So my shaman really liked him, started going to his programs, learning a lot about how to even upgrade her own modalities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm excited for when I can make time in my schedule to, go deeper into the Monroe Institute. But I read all of his books. I have so much reverence for Robert Monroe. But even Robert Monroe, who came from the least spiritual realm when exploring all of this astral projection and everything. He did all of that out of necessity. It was birthed out of necessity because he was levitating at night.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And he actually found out far later, after his mission was accomplished, after his purpose was seen. He built the Monroe Institute out of that necessity. He found out that it was because of some copper triangle that was at the top of his ceiling.
Copper?
Yeah, copper is very powerful. But anyways, So even Robert Monroe has made it a point to say that none of the things that we're actually talking about in this age are as tangible as we're making them out to be. They're actually on a different radio station. And that's just another way of saying they're in another dimension. So are there tangible forces that we can interact with that are called extraterrestrial? Yeah. But the whole paradigm's being made out to be as if it's fully physical, when really the majority of that's actually taking place at a higher dimensional of the radio station.
Right. Yeah, because people think of aliens, they think of a physical green, slimy
Yeah.
figure. But
Hey guys, shout out to today's sponsor, Kinsta. Running an online business is already a challenge. Your website hosting shouldn't make it harder, and I've been there, dealing with slow load times, confusing dashboards, and unreliable support. That's why I switched over to Kinsta, and it's been a game changer for my brand. Since moving to Kinsta, my site loads faster, runs smoother, and I don't have to stress about downtime. Their intuitive dashboard makes managing everything simple, and their 24/7 expert support means I always have real people whenever to help when I need it. Kinsta's built for performance with blazing fast speeds, enterprise-level security, and 37 global data centers to ensure your site reaches audiences quickly. They also handle free migrations, so switching is effortless, and if you ever get a traffic spike, Kinsta automatically scales to keep your site online when it matters most. I'm not the only one who trusts Kinsta. TripAdvisor, NASA, Indeed, and over 120,000 businesses rely on Kinsta for their WordPress hosting. So if you want hosting that works, just make the switch to Kinsta today. Get your first month free. They'll even handle the migration for you. Just visit kinsta.com/DSH to get started. That's KINSTA.com/DSH.
it could be just a light being, right?
Oh, totally. And so, like, for instance, if you look at the radio station in the third dimension that we're in, of Venus, it's a shell. There's not actual the living beings behind there that we can perceive. You go on a higher radio station, there's Venetian beings. They're even the higher self of Earth. They're guiding us.
Yeah, I could see that. Jerry Sargent just came on and he said there was a lion sitting right next to him.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I could see that.
Is that Lyran? Like,
oh, maybe he meant Lyran. Yeah, I heard lion, but yeah.
Oh, well, you know, that could still be the same.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But some people can really tap into that space and sense those beings around them, right?
Oh, yeah.
And do you think that's trainable for everyone?
I do. I do think some people are more proclined to that.
Yeah.
You know, they have those gifts coming in, and then it's a matter of cultivating, honing it. And then others, if they don't have those gifts at all, I do think that they can still, you know, with discipline and sincerity, be able to open and cultivate that.
Yeah, I've seen some people definitely have gifts, right? They're born with it.
Yeah.
I wonder what causes that.
Pre-birth intention.
Yeah.
Yeah. But many people even have gifts coming in and they're just not aware of it because they're not having banger experiences. So they're misinterpreting what gifts are.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if they're like not having X-Man gifts or like they can't like, I don't know, like shoot laser beams out of their eyes, they're like, man, I guess I'm not psychic. It's just, I had to really be able to like fiercely embrace my claircognizance. Why? Because it's invisible. It's not a banger gift. Unless you start valuing and really embracing that pre-birth intention to go, okay, I'm meant to help with the larger invisible knowing. Sometimes even information that's psychic can get in the way.
Yeah.
So claircognizance is actually my go-to now, even though I've developed a lot of strong third eye activity.
Really?
I actually trust my claircognizance way more.
Wow. That's impressive. When did you start feeling these, like as a kid or was it later?
As a kid.
Oh, so you knew early on.
Well, once again, I didn't know. It was one of those things that's so omnipresent and invisible that now looking back, I go, oh, okay, that was just a hyper awareness of the cosmos, of metaphysical existential forces, right? So I didn't, like, for instance, see a celestial spiritual war, but I felt it. So how I interpret it wasn't even through a spiritual lens at first, even though I was highly, highly spiritual as a child.
Wow.
Or rather religious, sorry.
There's a difference these days, right?
Huge difference, yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's completely flipped. I'm no longer at all religious, but highly spiritual. But at that time, I had interpreted it strongly through like an existential theme, more like philosophical, if anything, not spiritual.
Yeah. I wonder if the two parties, the spiritual community and the religion, will ever fully get along in the future.
So I'm Gnostic. What that basically means is that how that would apply to that question or that comment is that I kind of don't see that because I see this realm in general as having the purpose of contrast. So we have different levels of consciousness here, and then you all mix them in a bag, and what you get is a lot of what is looked at as like catalysts for evolution. So some people are here, and the ones that really strongly, no matter how much they're given information, no matter how much they're given esoteric knowledge, no matter how many things are pointed out to them, they will remain religious. And it is other people's jobs to kind of either see what can evolve from that, see if the mind can be opened, or go into unconditional love and learn that not everyone is here for that reason.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
Because some family members or friends are just so stubborn on their ways, and you try to change them and nothing you say matters.
Yeah. And so at a certain point, it's like, what point do I now become the one who needs to receive the lesson rather than the one that needs to give the lesson?
Right.
And so the receiver of the lesson too, that's all what esoteric knowledge is. Esoteric knowledge can be called, like the hidden realm of knowledge, but really it's what's right in front of us. But the person now themselves are graduated, mature, evolved enough to see it. And so at that point, seeing it is not a special club at all, and definitely should not arise superiority. But at the same time, there needs to be a sober understanding that this is a more mature and more developed and evolved state.
Yeah.
And truly evolved person would be able to hold the fact that they're not superior, but they are more advanced. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is that people that have had more lifetimes?
Even if we had a bunch of lifetimes, we could still reinforce a negative, more de-evolutionary pattern. So I would say on the surface of that, yeah, but then deeper, I would say what you do with it the most.
Yeah.
Which actually I feel really called to share something so funny because it just came to my awareness and I have not talked about this at all, so it must be important.
Wow.
Back to Robert Monroe. Robert Monroe says in one of his books that he is being shown in the astral field what the people who look like that are going to evolve out of this whole density. And he said that they're in this top ring and that there's far more people in the lower rings. And in this top ring, he says they look all like murky grayish, but with a luminescent aura around them. And that they're not really talking to other people. I would call that the esoteric, but they're not really talking to other people. And that they planned their life to be super hard because they knew in advance that they would need specific catalysts to go higher, to want to have that evolutionary impulse. And then he said the rings below that ring are all ones that have been actually here longer with lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And yeah, they might plan some hard lives here. They might plan some, breaks here or whatever have you, but that they're more attached. They're more addicted to this realm. So to answer your question even deeper, sometimes the longer we're here doesn't always mean that the more we're evolved.
Wow. Yeah, because you could just keep repeating the same mistake over and over again, right?
I mean, it could feel good to the, visceral body if we become more identified with it. And that's what base consciousness is anyways.
Do you think there's a way to graduate from Earth?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I teach.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that is where I feel most called to serve. And without that kind of purpose, I flatline.
Wow.
That gives me the spark. That's why I'm here.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it might be your soul contract or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you diverge from that, or you try to diminish it, or you try to Lois Lane it, there's no life force.
That's how I felt a majority of my life until I found the podcast. Yeah, now I feel really fulfilled.
I mean, I could see why.
Yeah, it's like a night and day difference.
I don't want it to be a podcast at all.
Oh, yeah?
I actually admire people who want to do that.
Do you not like the attention or?
Oh, no, the attention's fine. I just don't want to interview people. Unless I really want to talk to them and I want my audience to hear them and go, look, you guys, this person saying this really important thing, but actually be a podcast, that would take so much energy.
It's a lot of energy, yeah. And you also attract a lot of negative eyeballs too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been dealing with that lately.
I deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, in your space for sure. There's a lot of people in the spiritual community under attack right now.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, well, if you're visible and if you're making change, that's going to do it.
Yeah.
And even if I don't agree with somebody, if they're visible and they're making change, that's going to do it.
It's crazy. Yes. You got to really know how to protect yourself these days, right?
Yeah. Well, then comes into play. Have you ever heard of targeted individuals?
No.
So targeted individuals, I guess, came into my awareness 2 years ago, but I wasn't paying too much attention to it because I'm very careful with what content I do represent and present to my audience. And so I waited a little longer and I saw that this concept of targeted individuals is only getting more popular. It's only getting more stronger. It's not going away. So I will be most likely in the second season with Gaia, my new series, Mystery Teachings, be covering this in one form or another. But targeted individuals are when there are beings inside this matrix who are specifically either holding certain energy codes inside their field that are helping others in some way, helping Earth in some way, or just exactly that, visible awakening others. And so they get targeted by the matrix, by, anyone unconscious in their field, even people in their community that think, have blind spots, believe that they're doing the right thing by attacking them.
Dang. And it's like a subconscious attack, or they're aware of it?
No. These are.
Oh, so they're very targeted.
Yeah. And so then you take that and there's like a spectrum. I've heard people even talk about how they put something in the microwave and it blew up, and then they found some sort of weird electricity issue. And so that was a part of their targeted individual story. But to me, it's like, why are you using a microwave?
I got rid of mine.
I don't think you should use it.
Yeah, I got rid of mine. Just for like health reasons. Like, it doesn't seem like it's healthy.
Yeah, I've never had one.
Oh, you never had one?
I mean, maybe like when I was 12.
Wow. So you knew at a young age those weren't good for you.
Well, actually, my mom knew, and I was mad that she wouldn't get one when I was younger.
Yeah.
And she was like, no. And so like, everyone has a microwave. But then, you start waking up and you're, oh, no, I don't need it. Don't need it.
I mean, it's so convenient, but I'd rather wait more time and cook it on an oven or stove.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it cooks out the water, right? Like, it makes it like dry and tasteless.
It like puts your food on an artificial timeline.
Right. Yeah.
To like artificially, produce that. The food is being stripped of the actual process of having it, come in a natural way of what we call cook.
Right. Are you super particular about your food? Yes. Yeah, because you feel the energy from it, right?
Well, yeah, but also I come from an enormously autoimmune background.
Oh, wow.
I've healed Hashimoto's. I've healed. I myself am a healer, but you get put most through spiritual initiations, through healing yourself. That's the shamanic challenge.
Right.
It's here's the poison, transmute it. So I've healed a lot of autoimmunity, but that's something that forever, or well, at least like you don't ever stop taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
There's always now that, instability inside the energy field.
Right. Do you find when you heal someone else, it kind of affects you a little bit too?
No.
Oh, no?
Because my shaman taught me very strong boundaries, to the point where even like less than 1% of the people who reach out to me don't even get anything back.
Wow.
Yeah. Not the people who have sessions with me. The people who have sessions with me will benefit and transform in whatever way their higher self, allows. But the people who reach my office, I have very strict boundaries.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, there's a lot of autoimmune problems right now.
Yeah.
It's like the highest it's ever been, right?
Yep. And it's just now at a, snowball effect.
Yeah. I wonder what's going on. Mainly the food system, I'd imagine, right?
Oh, it's so many different dimensions. But one of them, I always go to the one that's most hidden, is liver flukes. Have you ever heard of liver flukes?
I have. I'm big on parasite cleanses.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I take like 1 or 2 a year. I actually had flukes. I had liver flukes.
I'm so impressed that you know about liver flukes and that you're already taking actions, because I'm telling people all the time now. And it's like, great, come to me for what my healing services provide, like implants removed, demonic entities, whatever have you, whatever needs it. But that none of that is going to make me ignore or diminish the physical realm and all the different contributing factors to our physiology.
Right. Are parasites kind of a way that weaken your body so you're more susceptible to spiritual attacks too?
Yeah.
That's what I think as well.
Yeah. I have a very close friend who's also an alchemist, homeopathist, And he even told me that there's like some sort of debate in homeopathy proper about what one of the miasms was. Miasms are predispositions for illness. And one of them was kind of like left up for debate. So there's like this miasm theories by different homeopathists that come up and go, well, he must have meant the founder of homeopathy. He must have meant that this last disposition for illness is this, and this, and that. Well, my guy says it's parasites. So he tested his theory. He starts making his own bioresonant droppers or homeopathic droppers for parasites. And the issues start resolving.
Wow.
So
that is crazy.
At that point, it doesn't matter if that doesn't get a stamp of approval, of officiality, of nope, that miasm means parasites, because if he's making those remedies under that and then people are benefiting, then it is what it is.
Yeah, it does seem like parasites are at the root cause of a lot of disease.
Yeah, and they correspond to spiritual parasites.
Really?
So I could deal with the spiritual parasites, but a person's own sovereignty needs to really be able to take care of their physical vessel.
What do the spiritual parasites look like? What's going on with that?
Spiritual parasites, that's even its own little subcategory. So sometimes they could be kind of like, have you ever heard of Archons?
Archons, no.
So Archons are mental body parasites. You could look at it that way. Actually, they're most known for being viruses in the mental body. So that would be kind of like anything that divides things that are powerfully positive in this dimension. So let's say the power of you and the power of me coming together with even more people, 5 more people. Then the spiritual virus, the mental virus at that point will do something to get in our mental bodies and play upon dividing us through ego.
Wow.
So it would be like, Sean's the star.
Yeah.
He but you did all the work, Sarah. So they're very oriented on separating powerful positive forces so that they don't do that.
That's so crazy.
But then spiritual parasites, that works in different ways. So there's really a spectrum.
That's so crazy. You got me thinking about all my old friendships now that I've just randomly lost because of ego. Oh my gosh. Is that a common one?
That's kind of like at the roots, yeah. But also, how many people from a person's past support their growth? I don't see that.
Not often.
Yeah.
No, they usually start hating, right?
Have you ever heard that Morrissey song, We Hate It When Our Friends Get Famous?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Well, we hate it when our friends get famous.
You see it all the time, though, with people. Yeah. Famous or money or success, whatever you define
and it's
it.
usually the people who are farthest away from you, who have the least ability to directly be impacted by your success, that are the ones giving you the most love and support.
Facts.
So the sadness, the irony of this situation is the closer you are to somebody, the more you even kind of get triggered or diminish them.
Yeah, I see it in myself sometimes when my friend does something well and I'm like kind of hating a little bit. It's kind of weird that I do that. Wow.
It's like extremely honest of you.
No, but now I have that awareness, which is cool. Yeah. Because some people won't even get there.
Totally.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know if that was some childhood stuff, but I've pushed away friends because of that, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when they get too close to me.
Yeah. Well, also, like, I'm a projector in human design. So we trigger people. So now I don't even want that many people around me.
Wow.
Because I have more peace by not constantly having to vie for my own power.
I could relate. I used to want to have a lot of friends. Now I don't want that at all. Yeah, it's too much work.
Yeah.
A lot of drama and stuff.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, keep it on one hand now. Yeah, that's my rule. Keep my friends on one hand. Because people throw that friend label out, It's like, oh, he's my friend.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
I love how this went from, the Archons are trying to separate us, to us going like, no, we got to keep people out.
Yeah. No, I've definitely felt like something was separating me in the past, though.
Yeah.
But now I'm more conscious of it. That's super cool.
Yeah, well, it's 9 to 5, right? Like if we're working, okay, let's have a bunch of people. Let's put positive power into a goal, all right? But then, okay, it's over. So it's 9 to 5. Now it's 6 p.m. So now we rest and we go away from each other's.
Yeah, you got to have that separation, right? Wow. You mentioned a spiritual celestial war earlier. Is that still going on right now?
Yeah. And it goes on all levels. So the best way that we could kind of like perceive it is through our gut biome. You ever heard of dysbiosis?
No.
Dysbiosis is when the pathogenic load inside our own microbiome is more dominant than the beneficial load. So that's when illness really thrives. That mostly happens, I mean, through many ways, but the easiest point blank way is through antibiotics.
I hate antibiotics.
Yeah. So that is a war going on within us, but we don't notice it because that is our homeostasis. So even parasites, we've been talking negatively about parasites and with good reason, but also there's some positive parasites inside our own gut biome that have a job of taking certain specific types of food or whatever have you and decomposing it.
Right. Yeah.
Like garden.
Probiotics, right?
Yeah. And so that would be at like a microscopic level or a micro level. But then you take that and you apply it to every level and scale above it. And there is some form of negative forces versus positive forces that are in some sort of dynamic interplay with each other.
Yeah, my gut got destroyed from antibiotics. I just found out I'm allergic to penicillin now, actually.
Oh, so
Like a month ago. But yeah, I had a lot of gut issues growing up. And I think it was from antibiotics.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was taking them probably once a year because I'd get like an ear infection or something. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And people's gut health is super weak these days. I see a lot of gut issue videos on Instagram.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And they don't help. They're not even a Band-Aid at that, you know, like you'll see the people who really know what they're talking about. They'll say, okay, like 1% of the time you will need antibiotics. They're not people that push, you know?
Yeah.
So the antibiotics do a lot more harm. And, you know, I'm sure you've had people on here before that talk about biofilm.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't break through the biofilm. What does? Something far more natural, like fermented garlic can break through the biofilm.
I love fermented food. Kimchi. Oh my gosh. I could eat a whole jar of kimchi right now. I love going to the Korean buffet.
Oh, yeah.
Korean barbecue.
Cool.
Oh, you probably don't eat meat though, right?
No, I'm paleo.
Oh, you're paleo?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been everything. I've been vegan, I've been vegetarian, I've been ketogenic. I've had a lot of food karma where I like to tell people what to eat. My body just prefers paleo, even though my mind wants to just be vegan.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying to be patient with my body and what my body needs and is supported by versus what I want.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of people in the spiritual community are vegan or vegetarian, right?
Yeah. And there's a lot of divide too, where it comes to that, because a lot of people went through, I guess you could call it a pipeline into veganism and then came out of that and are like now mad at veganism or vegans and stuff. And so because it was like in trend at one point and then now it's out. But to me, I let vegans yell at me. Like they have the moral high ground.
Yeah. Now carnivore is the trend.
Right. Exactly.
That's a hot one right now. But I don't know. Eating meat all day sounds excessive.
Well, you need a lot of stomach acid for that.
Yeah.
So if somebody has a bunch of stomach acid for that, great. If somebody doesn't, then welcome to parasite land. Your body is not sterilizing that meat.
Yeah. Plus the quality of the meat matters a lot.
It matters the most.
That's what I've realized.
No, it absolutely matters the most because meat can be the worst poison you put in your mouth. So it really depends on how a person's connecting with their food, like in a highly spiritual way.
Yeah.
Like what was that bioregenerative farmed? Was that, you know, wild? Like not having a connection with our food, actually, who needs spiritual parasites? If we don't have a connection with our food, we will be the virus on earth.
I'd say most people don't have a connection with their food, right?
I would agree.
Yeah, that's why.
I think that's changing though.
I think so too.
I think.
Yeah, there's regenerative farms popping up. There's an organic movement. People going to farmers markets now.
Yeah. And so what I covered last year as well was a timeline split. And in a timeline split, what you see is like a complete polarity right in front of you. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the complete polarity of like super, super conscious individuals, super, super, you know, high vibratory, forces of positivity for our world, while we're actually seeing at the same exact time, like the most unconscious displays of darkness that are playing out in front of us that were, hidden at other points of time that are now not hidden, but right in front of us. And then people either in their lethargy or apathy or turning a blind eye and stuff. And so we're really here seeing in front of us something that's, I guess we could call it special.
Yeah.
I would consider it special. Someone else might consider it chaotic. It could be both. But we're literally seeing in front of us that timeline split between like way more consciousness and at the same time, way more unconsciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of stuff's getting exposed right now too.
Yeah.
I think because of social media, right?
Yeah.
Twitter's been crazy lately.
Tell me.
Do you not use Twitter?
I don't.
Oh, wow. Well, just because it's free speech on there.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff's getting exposed like in real time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in politics and like the child trafficking stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It's all coming out finally.
Well, the human trafficking stuff is kind of like the litmus test for humanity. If we want those Age of Aquarius themes, we're going to need to first be able to do the most basic baseline thing ever as humans and go, hey, are we healed enough to no longer be drawn to harming children?
Yeah. The numbers are crazy on those. I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah.
Human trafficking.
Well, I have always had a strong affinity for that realm. So even in college, I was the regional coordinator of Pasadena region. I was the head coordinator for this one grassroots organization that wanted to strengthen and really tighten up any form of legislation because there was no punishments for human trafficking in California.
Wow.
One of the taglines we would say is that there's a larger fee for having an exotic bird found when you're trafficking that over the border than there was for humans.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I don't believe in the system anymore. So, obviously I've changed where I give my service to. But at the time, I was, still believing in the fact that, with stronger legislation, that can help this. And so now my solutions are far more out of the box. But at that time, that's just one example how human trafficking has been a constant theme of something that I find not only as an important kind of like thing to shed light on, but also it sends out a spiritual or a metaphysical cry for help that is even beyond what we would be able to see. So
Right.
even it attracts higher density beings to come and help this realm.
I could see that. What made you lose faith in the system? Was it a specific moment or event?
That's a great question. There was multiple ones, but then I guess what put the nail in the coffin was when Obama had signed the NCAA immediately. He came in and he immediately signed the most censorship, private, New World Order type of legislation. And I saw everyone around me not care. But like I said, that wasn't kind of the thing that did it. That was the last proof I needed of the left-right paradigm.
I'm not familiar with that order, but what exactly was it?
So the NCAA, it was like the Patriot Act on steroids. It was like high surveillance state. And it was the first thing. It was the first thing he did.
Damn.
Yeah.
I didn't know he did that. Wow. So that was 2008, right?
Yeah. But I had already been, I would consider it like unplugged from the system before then.
Yeah.
That was just the strongest piece of evidence I could point to people. And then I learned that, you do the best you can, but people aren't really in it for the sincerity.
Yeah. I never thought it was a good system to begin with,
Yeah.
Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah.
It really doesn't seem productive to me. Just two-party system.
Well, it does good for keeping people entertained at a lower level of consciousness until they're actually ready to integrate and mature past it, because it's identical energetically to sports games. So we're taking that over and we feel good because we don't see that it's our sports addiction to teams and to identity and groups. And so we put it in a political arena and we dress it up and disguise it from ourselves.
That makes sense. Yeah, it is pretty much a game of sports if you think about it. Two sides. Dang, that's crazy. People spend a lot of their time focusing on politics these days.
Yeah.
It's like insane to me. I can't even scroll on any social media platform without seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were removed from that though, right?
I don't see it. I'm guilty of seeing a bunch of cats, licking them.
You're a cat mom?
Yeah.
I used to love cats.
Yeah, I love.
My fiance is allergic. Yeah, or else I would have 5 cats.
Look, who are you gonna choose? The cat? Just kidding.
I've told her, like, can we get a hairless one or something at least? You know, I love cats.
Yeah.
I had cats growing up.
Yeah.
We got dogs now, but I would have both.
Yeah. Yeah, they even tried to divide us on cats and dogs. This is stupid.
Yeah, that's a silly one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love both. You got dogs too or no?
I don't have dogs, but, you know, that's just because I feel like dogs would require more from me and I, you know, don't want to let them down.
They are a lot of work. Yeah, beautiful. I've heard animals choose you actually, right? Choose the owners.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they also are familiars. You know that concept of a familiar?
They've been with you in the past?
They're an animal spirit guide.
Okay. So they're a spirit guide actually.
Yeah. I don't even know where the term familiar came from, but that's essentially what it is. It's when you have yourself as an animal version. So they call that a familiar.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And so they like guide you from that dimension or aspect of yourself.
Wow. That's trippy to think about. So they are you in a sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And once again, I don't know who coined that term familiar, but that's the concept. The concept is that they're just in this spirit guide animal form. And so that's why familiars always resemble the energy signature of the person.
Whoa. Yeah. I had a psychic on here. She said when you pass away, the animals always show up first.
Aww.
That's cute, right?
Yeah.
All the animals you ever owned. I love that. NPCs, do you think a large percentage of the population are NPCs?
What you chooses you. So if a person acts like an NPC, if a person is, you know, if it acts like what better of a term? Like non-player characters, unfortunately, the default settings of this reality. So we come in at a lower level of consciousness. Does everybody stay there? No. And some people might not even have been born into that level of consciousness, but that's how I perceive it. I perceive it as a level of consciousness. So if a person is talking and thinking and acting from that state of consciousness, then you know, you could dress up the name, but at the end of the day, it would be fair to call them NPC level of consciousness. So from that perspective of it being a level of consciousness, are there many? There's a lot.
Yeah, because public school kind of forces you to think that way, right?
Yeah. See, with public school, that's even harder because whatever we think about, like how that logic is structured, gets wiped. Logic is supposed to be our firewall in our brain. It's supposed to protect us. If you're not teaching logic, if you're not teaching the quadrivium, the trivium, those are wiped from the schools.
I don't even know what that is.
We used to have the trivium. We used to have the quadrivium. If you're wiping the very firewall to teach you how to be an individual and think, then now you're just left to the susceptibility of brainwashing.
When did that get wiped from schools, you think? Was it recent? Or?
No. It was not recent. But as you know, there's been a slow decline.
Right.
So now it's just every single, you know, cycle. I don't want to say generation because I think it's even less than that. It's not just each generation, but within every generation, now there's an even more slippery slope going in the direction of not having any type of ability for that critical thinking.
Yeah. And was this done intentionally, in your opinion, by a group of
100%.
secret society or something?
100%. Because they learn that. They like, even if you go to any mystic, it doesn't really matter which branch. If you go to any mystery school or if you belong to any society, one of the first things you learn is how to critically think, or, you know, the trivium.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that the logic is a firewall. It's a strong protector, and it builds discernment. And so it even helps grow intuition. So sometimes these things get pitted against each other and look like it's either intuition or logic, but actually logic will flourish and it will blossom into intuition. So learning those things is actually critical, not just for our discernment, but for our spirituality.
Wow. I didn't know logic can turn into intuition. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Because when you think of logic, you think of like just facts and data. You know what I mean? It's not really like intuition.
Well, the funniest part is that true logic is highly spiritual.
Mm.
When we're left with just a dissected half part of logic, it actually is not logical at all. And that's why you see all these different logics that are awful. They lead to awful consequences, and they lead to awful, oh, well, we meant well. If you go back even like 50 years and you go, what was that country thinking with that war? And it was based off of some logic.
Mm.
So logic in and of itself, if it's not plugged in to like the hardware, we could call the hardware like unity.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying not to use the term heart center. I'm trying to be more creative. But if logic isn't under a specific type of foundation, logic goes all over the place and it's not logical at all.
Wow.
I could invent a logic right now for why some like awful thing.
Yeah. You could justify anything if you apply some random logic, right?
Completely.
Is that because emotions take over, or what causes that, you think?
So many different dimensions feed into that. There's so many, like pre-birth again. Like, for instance, back to human trafficking, because that's a good example. How many people who are a part of that industry are genuine psychopaths? Not a lot.
Mm.
But if you're doing that bidding, what's the difference between you and psychopathy? If you're somehow directly involved in that. So to answer your question, there's only a small percentage here that we could say from a spiritual dimension came in with a pre-birth intention to be disconnected from their spirit, to be disconnected from other people, to take on that role of being the pathological parasitical dysbiosis forces.
Mm.
But how many of them can they recruit to emulate them? And that's the real issue.
Mm.
So that's the first factor that feeds into that. And then beyond that was the most complicated factor. So I had to break down the most complicated. But beyond that, now you have all these different things feeding into it as well. Yeah.
And how powerful are these groups these days, you think, these secret societies?
Oh, they're very.
You still think they have a lot of power?
Yeah, just speak to Jason Reza Georgiani. Have you heard of him?
No.
He came out recently on a podcast and said that he was gunning for an alt-right position. Mm-hmm. He was trying to make the alt-right metropolitan, restore it to its roots. And that he was contacted by a very prominent secret society that's almost known as a myth. Mm. Last time I heard about them, they had been the occult forces against Rudolf Steiner in World War II.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a while since they come out.
Yeah. So when now you have this person here in this age talking about how they popped their head up to try to maneuver him once they saw that he wasn't going to do what they wanted him to do, then they set him up, made a huge thing to diminish his reputation.
Damn.
Yeah. And he just came out and said that. So these secret societies, even if they look like that took place a long time ago, this and this and that actually they still are around, and they're just very good at masquerading and camouflaging themselves.
When you have that much money, I mean, you could get a lot done.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm seeing what I'm getting done with like very little compared to them. And it's like, holy crap, if I had that money, you could make anyone you want famous or give anyone a platform with that amount of money.
Yeah.
That's why I think a lot of celebrities are controlled too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's finally being exposed.
And you know what? There's this mixed bag going on there too, because a lot of people didn't go all the way. And so what they're doing now is trying to communicate that, hey, they're human too. Hey, they're a part of pipelines too. They're a part of trends too. They're allowed to grow too. So I'm being kind of wanting to enhance the nuance, because the term celebrity can almost be casted into such wide nets that the ones that did go all the way could get placed with people who, you know, did a movie or two or have some form of prominence, but didn't do that. And now they want to be giant advocates and light workers for positive,
Right.
movements and stuff like that. So even in Hollywood, you see this massive chasm between light and dark. And I don't say this to defend anyone because I don't know if you're aware of this, but I used to want to act.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it came directly up against me saying I used to want to talk.
Mm.
And I chose talking. And I like
Interesting.
it because as you could tell, I think I chose the better.
You have more control. you
Yeah.
know. Acting, you're at someone's mercy.
Yeah, and to be honest, I wasn't a good actor.
Hmm. How come?
I don't think I'm feminine enough.
Interesting.
They want it, and I would have wanted to be like a Johnny Depp role.
Okay.
Like not him, but I would have wanted to be like a female version of
Yeah.
him. I wanted to have interesting roles. What I love the most is when a super feminine actress plays something completely that you wouldn't see her in, kind of like Charlize Theron in Monster.
Mm.
That is freaking brilliant. So I have so much reverence for acting, but I myself, no. I don't
Yeah,
wanna
it's a
act.
tough space.
Yeah.
There are some good actors these days. Jenna Ortega is impressive to me.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, you haven't watched Wednesday?
Oh, no, I know.
The
her
new
face,
Wednesday.
but I have not seen it.
Yeah.
I don't watch TV.
Yeah, I'd imagine the programming these days is too intense, right?
It just doesn't interest me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of subliminal messaging and
Yeah. No, there's a lot of subliminal messaging. Yeah.
yeah.
You could curl your toes. You could imagine that there's a lavender bracelet around your wrist.
Hmm.
You could do many things to harmonize the energies that are being, there. You could place a psychic screen there. But I don't watch it because I don't find any of that interesting.
Yeah. I used to get wicked nightmares when I watched horror movies
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used to I had to address that because having nightmares every day can affect your life,
yeah.
So I pretty much cut it out, but I still get them sometimes. It's creepy.
Yeah.
I have a dream journal.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
I think there's a lot of meaning in dreams. So when I have a nightmare, I'm like, okay, what am I running away from in real life right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's totally.
Yeah. Because it's usually me running away from like a monster or something.
Uh-huh.
And I know that's something in real life I'm avoiding. Do you believe dreams have a lot of meanings?
Dreams have so much meaning. They also help you process things. They even help you clear out and close out past life cycles.
Really?
Yeah, like sometimes no matter how much we do in this life, and I'm saying this as an energy healer, no matter how much we process with our waking life, dreams can help process so much beyond it.
Mm.
So dreams are usually the dream state is where we're healing past life traumas or like tortures or like crazy things.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So you're getting flashbacks to your past lives.
Yeah. But people, like, for instance, you might even be healing things in past lives, but you won't maybe have that reference point that was a past life thing. Or you might not be getting the information from a scene. You might still be processing something if, like, for instance, you wake up with a deep, unsettling fear or unexplainable grief, or you wake up crying.
Mm. Are we astral traveling when we're dreaming? I've heard that theory.
So dreaming is a little bit different. Dreaming takes place in the subconscious.
Mm.
So it's usually something to do with processing or working through something or becoming more aware. It's also where we get a lot of communication. I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, but 3/4 of prophecy is dream time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So the majority of prophets. So prophets isn't even, the funny thing is that prophets, historically speaking, sucked at telling the future, which is funny because now it's almost like expected of you,
Right.
a part of the profession of being a spiritual guidance of any kind. But prophets actually were meant to just be the messengers of the divine, and they guided in that way.
Interesting.
Yeah, they sucked at being prophetic.
Wow.
So what prophet means actually is usually through the communication we're receiving, and then just giving those messages.
Mm.
And through that, one of the largest devices is through sleep time.
Interesting.
And
Sure.
then the other thing that you said about dreaming. you
The,
said-
the meanings or astral travel.
Oh yeah. So the astral realm's a little different.
Yeah.
than dream time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Is there any prophecies you believe in?
Yes, but not because I want to. It's because I'm seeing it play out in front of me.
That's scary.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's a good one the way you're talking too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. And I have a whole video on how prophecy can stop you from awakening. Have you ever watched it?
No.
It's a good one.
I'll check it out.
Breakdown of, how prophecies can stop you from awakening. And actually, not only that, prophecies can manipulate the hell out of you.
Yeah, because you just believe it, so you're going to manifest it, right?
Yeah. And a person is very easily susceptible and controllable if they are prone to prophecy. But at the same time, Rudolf Steiner had prophesied that we are now in an age that is going to flourish in what's called the eighth sphere, which is Rosicrucian talk for hell.
Oh, wow.
And that's going to be done through the merging of very synthetic electromagnetic frequencies. The reason why I'm saying very synthetic is because electromagnetic field is natural and organic. But you could always manipulate that. And when you do it where you're taking us off of our normal radio station and you're putting us on a different radio station. And that's done through all forms of synthetic electricities.
Mm-hmm.
What that does is change the radio station we're on. And particularly, he said we will merge at a certain point with the eighth sphere.
Oh my gosh.
Meaning we will go on the radio station with all of these false electrical inputs on the radio station where we're now closer, if not fully merged with a demonic realm.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So we also need to be very careful of what we see as true evolution versus a technocratic false evolution, because that one's coming from the eighth sphere. And this is what the top Rosicrucian had prophesied 100 years ago would be the task of this age. So everything that he had taught was preparing the people for this age, not that age.
Wow.
And I don't like prophecy. I unfortunately can acknowledge the truth if it's happening. So I tip my hat to him.
I've heard from other people that the frequencies have been altered already. Yeah, I've heard that. But I didn't know it could get to the point of seeing hell. Holy crap.
Well, that's how the demonic forces, they want us to do that so that they get closer into our realm. So what you'll also see is a lot of people being possessed by those thought forms, because those thought forms are able now to work through that.
That just happened to a few people I know, reptilians. Yeah, they got on them. Yeah, we had to do some stuff to get them off. And there's large groups of them. The group that was attacking them was 700, a group of 700 reptilians.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And my psychic has seen groups of over 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not fun. I don't know if you've had any run-ins with those guys, but I'd imagine. Yeah. Are you seeing more attacks like that these days?
It's that one quote, things aren't getting worse, they're getting more seen. So more per se, I'm just seeing stronger embodiments of that impulse.
Got it.
So I'm seeing the thoughts of them come up stronger in humans, and that just means that they're more possessed by that thought form.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, because you could take on the thoughts of them. But it's not because, I want to really highlight this nuance. It's not because, they possessed you. We go realm by realm by realm. So if our vibration is vibrating at a specific frequency, nobody made us. That's our own free will. If they're vibrating on that frequency, then now there's no distance. Now we have locked into their realm.
Got it.
So now it's easier for thoughts to be transported and things like that. So it's still something that involves a lot of free will.
Wow. So they could take over your thoughts if they're on the same frequency as you?
Yeah. And so if a person's already and then how do you do that? Influence. So we see a bunch of different influences here on Earth. That's the point.
Yeah.
We will not be able to not be influenced.
Yeah.
We will always be influenced. But just knowing that in advance, now we go, okay, I'm always going to be influenced no matter what. Okay, well, now we can control how much we're influenced and how much we're not. We're always going to be inspired.
I love that. Are there ways to fight against this prophecy, or do you think it's going to happen for sure?
I
Either
feel
way.
like happened, and now we're just going to see it intensify.
Oh, it already happened?
Well, we have electric cars that we've normalized.
Right.
And we have, and that would be fine if, once again, the signals from everything electric wasn't opposing the natural electrical currents. For instance, your organs oscillate at a specific frequency. This can be recorded. This isn't even like this is esoteric, but this is something that can be verified.
Right.
Many things in esoterica cannot be verified. This can be verified. Your liver tissue, if it's in a healthy state, can be measured in frequency, and then that's recorded as healthy liver tissue. Your liver in a diseased state can be measured, and then now we know what a diseased frequency for the liver specifically is, which will differ from kidney tissue, which will differ from tongue tissue. All these can be recorded. Now, if you get too much of electrical overwhelm, how much can that override your liver doing its natural function and oscillating at a specific natural frequency? So what you have is a bunch of things bombarding and overriding our electrical circuits and our nervous system's ability. So that will in and of itself produce things that we call exotic, like cancers and ailments, because we're receiving too much of an electromagnetic load and it's coming from synthetic sources.
I could see that. I got rid of my electric car. I felt terrible. And my friend would throw up sometimes if we were in there too long because she's sensitive.
I threw up.
Oh, you did?
Twice.
Yeah, because sometimes you call an Uber and it's a Tesla or whatever. You're like, oh man, this is gonna be a long ride if you're sensitive. Yeah, it's noticeable. Plus all the EMF too on top of it and the Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
If you're in a hotel out here, the lights and it's overwhelming.
Yeah, in esoterica, light, like electricity is known as dying light.
Wow.
And so there's nothing wrong with it. Like we have social media, we have our own channels, we have our own things. The lesson of this age isn't to, become Amish about it. But the lesson of this age is to also know how to navigate and surf in between, like what is creating harmony versus what is being completely immersed or taken over by it.
Yeah.
And so because of that, electricity isn't a bad guy at all, but it's known as the most dense form of light. It's in its dead form, it's dying light.
Yeah.
It's the most poetic thing, actually, that mysticism has said.
Yeah. I have to ground after I film because these lights are intense in the studio, If you feel pretty drained afterwards after a long day of filming.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. Grounding's been a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grounding is something anyone can do.
Well, don't forget to drink water.
Yeah. What time do you start drinking? I've been pounding already. This is my second bottle.
After this. Yeah, for sure.
I try to drink out of glass. Do you think it matters, like the plastic?
For sure. I just got done doing a podcast with my friend Mark from after school on microplastics.
Really?
Yes. They're affecting our fascia network. I mean, they're affecting more than that, but that's where I care the most. They're affecting, Mark was talking about sperm count. They're affecting the way that our organs connect with one another.
Wow.
So, of course, they're affecting how we think, or even how we can have the normal methylation processes in our body. So because of that, I had it a part of my Esoteric Reasons for Anxiety series.
Yeah, I could definitely see a link with that. If you look at the Amish people, none of them have anxiety. They're not drinking out of plastic water bottles. And probably other reasons too, but...
Yeah, they're probably too scared to have anxiety.
Yeah.
They're probably too scared and depressed to have anxiety.
I got my dogs from the Amish people.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they're good dog breeders.
Probably like the healthiest dog. Watch out. The dogs are going to own the podcast.
I know, right? Yeah. Amish people are great at dog breeding, though.
I want to see pictures of
Yeah, I'll send you some. Let's end off with the transhumanism stuff. We didn't touch on that yet, right?
Yeah, so transhumanism is that like goal of the dark occultists. It is that goal of having the willingness of us, like through manipulation, but it's still willingness,
Yeah.
We're like this little spark and we can have all these different voices in our head. We can have all of these different influences, but at the end of the day, we can still choose, even if we don't know that. And so we're choosing into, even if we don't know it, we are choosing into a transhumanist path whenever we start to really overemphasize artificial intelligence or technology for being the way that we evolve. by needing to somehow merge ourselves with that. That is actually classically a satanic thought form. That is known in mysticism. This isn't even just like my thought. This is known under specific definitions in mysticism. That is a satanic thought form.
Dang. So this must have happened in the past then.
Yeah.
If this is already being talked about in mysticism.
Well, yeah. I mean, this has happened even beyond this epoch. This is, if we want to go a little further back, this has happened. We're actually replaying the karma from Atlantis.
Really? So this happened back then too?
Oh, yeah. Well, they were doing different things. But yeah, you could put them roughly under a category of transhumanism for sure.
Wow.
They were doing a lot of other things too, though, beyond transhumanism, just like experimenting.
On the body?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because you think of Atlantis, you think of like just high vibration vibes,
Like,
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me charge my crystal.
Yeah. I haven't heard many people talk about this side of Atlantis.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. There's like known for being like the children of Belial. Belial was one of the older terms for what now is the archetype of the devil.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So that stemmed from that era?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Oh, okay. So you know how I was talking earlier about the dysbiosis, how there's always some sort of celestial war.
Right.
Yeah, that even takes place on every level. So even when we look at different epochs, we look at always kind of this two major thought forms that are in opposition to one another. And those two major thought forms are a service to all. It's really called service to others, but I don't like that because that confuses people. It makes people think that they have to not love themselves. So I call it service to all or service to self. Service to self, once you get really down that pathway, it's not even about self. It's almost now a person's in sheer masochism.
Wow.
They're in hyper needs of control. So that's what we call dark magicians. And there was dark magicians in Atlantis.
Wow.
And they were doing a lot of the stuff that now we're being faced with that karma to see, are we going to repeat that karma or are we going to learn the lesson, finish off that cycle, choose differently, and evolve?
Damn. Makes you wonder, is conflict inevitable? Like it seems like you think there's a time where we could get to no conflict at all?
If we do, we won't be in this density.
Okay. So
Yeah,
third
we'll have
density,
shift realms. Yeah.
it's impossible in the third density.
It's like that's the point here.
Got
And
it.
when there wasn't conflict here, there was a different design, kind of like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Do you remember how the architect says in the second movie?
Mhm.
He says, oh no, we had a Matrix where you guys loved it. You guys were happy and you guys rejected it. Have you heard that?
I've seen the movie. I don't remember that specific line, but I could see it.
So the architect, which is funny because I'm Gnostic,
Yeah.
architect and Gnosticism means the demiurge, which is like the controller of this reality. So the architect had said to Neo in the second movie, he said, we had one where you guys weren't at 9 to 5s being drained. You guys were happy. You rejected it. We made something in the image of what you would accept as reality. How deep is that?
Wow.
So I don't want to write off the idea of there ever being some form of peaceful, harmonious third dimension, but I am just specifically speaking about the most important to proximity for our lessons.
That is crazy. I actually had the creator of the Matrix on the show.
No way. I was just thinking yesterday of having her on my podcast.
Sophia.
Yes.
Yeah. She lives in Vegas.
No way.
Yeah. And she was probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. I mean, she wrote that book like 30 years ago.
This is so cool.
Yeah. It's unreal how accurate that book and Terminator, right? Yeah. She wrote Terminator too.
Why is she living in Vegas?
No idea. She's way too smart to be in Vegas.
We need to get her to.
Yeah. We need to get her out of here. But man, that movie plus The Simpsons, they just be predicting everything.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if time travel is real, right?
Oh, yeah. It's real.
I feel like people in Hollywood definitely have access to it, or people that can do it, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't pay attention to anything about timelines.
Mm.
If anything, I teach about timelines. I teach about things, you know, like physics. Physics is very important for us to know. Physics and spirituality are one and the same.
Really?
Oh,
Because you think of physics, you think of science as a opposite than spirituality.
Oh, no. They're the same. Yeah. But when it comes to actual like details about the past, that's the thing I could care less about, because the details in the past could always be changed.
Really?
Yeah. One of my most successful videos on my YouTube channel is about the Mandela effect. And I didn't even know half of the Mandela effects until I saw the comment section. I was blown away by my own video because everyone in the comments were telling all these crazy Mandela effects, and I had no clue. Like one was, Luke, I am your father. Apparently it's not Luke, I am your father anymore.
Really?
Yeah. You know that famous?
Yeah, from Star Wars.
Yeah. And then, if you build it, he will come.
Yeah.
Now it's, if you build it, they will come.
Wow. So they're changing the past.
There was so much more, but those are just the two that are glaringly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Curious George one messed me up with the tail.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
He doesn't have a tail.
No.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Okay.
That one messed me up for like a week.
So I do kind of want to plug that I just made a Mandela effect video for my new Gaia series.
Oh, yeah?
Mystery Teachings. It will be coming out this summer, so I'm really excited about that.
I love it.
The Mandela effect episode this time is going to be far more cooler because the motion graphics are going to be on point.
I love that. Yeah, Mandela effect blows my mind. Once a year, I'll just watch the newest ones on YouTube, and it's just crazy.
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
There's way more than I thought when I first made that episode, put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, there's pretty much one in any show or movie or whatever. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, we'll link that below. Anything else you want us to link below with or close off with here?
No, just thanks for having me on. Sending you infinite love and gratitude.
Likewise. Thanks for coming on, Sarah. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out her stuff, and I'll see you next time.